Most people grow up believing that financial freedom is rare, that it belongs only to the lucky few, to people born into wealth, to geniuses, celebrities, or those with massive incomes. But what if that belief is the real trap? What if financial freedom has very little to do with luck and almost nothing to do with talent? What if it's built quietly, not through dramatic breakthroughs, but through small, unglamorous habits, repeated consistently over time? The truth is, most financially free people don't look special. They don't win lotteries. They don't make overnight millions. They don't live flashy lives. Instead, they follow a simple set of rules that slowly pull them away from stress, away from debt, and away from constant financial pressure. In this video, you're about to discover 7 simple habits that ordinary people use to take control of their money, build long-term wealth, and design a life that doesn't revolve around survival. These aren't shortcuts. There are no get-rich-quick tricks here, but if you stay until the end, you'll understand why these habits work, why most people ignore them, and why even adopting one of them can completely change your financial future. Because this video isn't really about money. It's about freedom. Freedom from living paycheck to paycheck. Freedom from constant anxiety. Freedom to say no when you want. And yes, when it truly matters. Financial freedom doesn't start someday. It starts with what you do next. Let's begin. Habit 1, they pay themselves first. The first habit that leads to financial freedom is so simple that most people overlook it. People who become financially free pay themselves first. Most people do the exact opposite. They work hard, they earn money, they pay their bills, they spend on daily life. And whatever's left, if anything at all, they try to save. But by the time life is done taking its share, there's usually nothing left. Financially free people flip this entire system. The moment money comes in, before rent, before shopping, before entertainment, they set aside a portion for their future selves. That money is treated like a bill, one that must be paid no matter what. This habit has nothing to do with how much you earn. You can make a little or a lot and still stay broke if saving is optional. Paying yourself first is not about income. It's about priority. Saving is not something you do after living. Saving is something you do so you can live better later. And here's the part most people misunderstand. The amount doesn't matter nearly as much as the consistency, even if it's small, even if it feels insignificant, even if it seems like it won't make a difference. It does, because consistency always beats size. Someone who saves $50 every single week without fail will outperform someone who saves $5,000 once and never does it again. Why? Because habits create momentum. Momentum creates discipline, and discipline creates freedom. When saving becomes automatic, you stop relying on motivation. When it becomes non-negotiable, progress becomes inevitable. This habit does something powerful to your mindset. It sends a message to your brain that your future matters, that you are worth investing in. That money is a tool, not something that controls you. Over time, that small, consistent action builds confidence. Confidence turns into control. Control turns into choice. And choice is what financial freedom is really about. You don't pay yourself first because you have extra money. You pay yourself first so that one day extra money becomes normal. Financial freedom doesn't begin with a big raise or a lucky break. It begins the moment saving stops being optional and becomes non-negotiable. Habit 2, they live below their means. The second habit that leads to financial freedom may not sound exciting. In fact, it often gets dismissed as boring. But it is one of the most powerful wealth-building habits in the world. Financially free people live below their means, not because they enjoy deprivation, not because they want to suffer, and not because they're afraid of spending money. They do it to create margin. Most people upgrade their lifestyle the moment their income increases. A raise arrives, and suddenly there's a new phone, a new car, a bigger apartment, more subscriptions, more pleasure. But financially free people resist that urge. They understand something most people never learn. Wealth is not measured by what you earn. Wealth is measured by what you keep. Living below your means doesn't mean living poorly. It means living intentionally. It means deciding that appearances matter less than peace. That stability matters more than status. That long-term freedom matters more than short-term comfort. When you spend less than you earn, something powerful happens. Your finances gain breathing room. Unexpected expenses stop feeling like emergencies. Money stops being a constant source of stress. And with that breathing room comes choice. Choice to walk away from bad situations. Choice to take opportunities that don't pay immediately. Choice to say no when something doesn't align with your future. This is where most people miss the bigger picture. That extra money you don't spend doesn't just sit there. Over time, it becomes capital. Capital becomes options. Options become opportunity. And opportunity is the foundation of freedom. Delaying gratification is not about denying yourself forever. It's about refusing to sacrifice your future for temporary comfort. Financially free people don't ask, "What can I afford right now?" They ask, "What will this cost me later?" Because every unnecessary upgrade today is a trade-off against freedom tomorrow. Living below your means is quiet. It's invisible. No one applauds it. But it works. It creates stability while others live on edge. It builds security while others chase appearances. And slowly, it separates those who survive financially from those who thrive. Financial freedom doesn't come from earning more alone. It comes from keeping more, stressing less, and choosing margin over excess every single time. Habit 3, they avoid bad debt religiously. The third habit that leads to financial freedom is one most people underestimate. Financially free people avoid bad debt religiously. Because debt is not just a number. Debt is a silent thief. It quietly steals your future income long before you ever see it. It steals your peace of mind, even when you try to ignore it. And it steals your ability to take risks, change direction, or walk away. Every dollar you owe is a dollar that already has a job, and that job is no longer serving you. Financially free people understand a distinction that changes everything. There is good debt and there is bad debt. Good debt builds assets. It creates income. It grows in value or helps you earn more over time. Bad debt does the opposite. Bad debt funds lifestyles. It pays for comfort, convenience, and instant gratification. It feels good today and quietly costs you tomorrow. Credit cards used for impulse spending. Loans taken for things that lose value the moment you buy them. Lifestyle upgrades you couldn't truly afford, justified by "I deserve this." Bad debt doesn't arrive as a problem, it arrives as a reward. And that's why it's dangerous. At first, nothing feels wrong. The payments seem manageable, the purchase feels justified. But over time, those payments stack up. They limit your options. They shrink your margin. They make every decision heavier because freedom doesn't coexist with chains. Every payment you owe is a vote against your independence. Every obligation reduces your flexibility. Every monthly bill narrows your future. Financially free people don't hate debt. They respect its power. They know that debt can accelerate progress or quietly destroy it. That's why they're intentional. They ask better questions before borrowing. Does this create value or just convenience? Will this help me move forward or keep me stuck? Is this solving a real problem or just easing discomfort? Avoiding bad debt doesn't mean living in fear. Doesn't mean perfection. It means awareness. Awareness of how debt works. Awareness of how easily it becomes normal. Awareness of how quickly it trades freedom for comfort. And awareness changes behavior. Once you see debt for what it really is, you stop using it casually. You stop borrowing for things that don't last. You stop financing a lifestyle your future self will have to pay for. Instead, you protect your flexibility. You protect your cash flow. You protect your peace of mind. Because financial freedom isn't about never owing anything. It's about ensuring that what you owe is working for you, not against you. Financially free people don't ask, "Can I afford the payment?" They ask, "Is this worth the freedom it costs?" And more often than not, they decide it isn't. Avoiding bad debt may not feel exciting, but over time, it becomes one of the most powerful decisions you can make. Because nothing accelerates financial freedom, like removing the chains that hold you back. Habit 4, they invest consistently, not emotionally. The fourth habit that leads to financial freedom is one most people misunderstand. Saving money is important, but saving alone will never make you financially free. Financial freedom is built through investing. And not just investing, but investing the right way. Here's the secret most people never learn. Successful investors aren't smarter. They're calmer. They don't win because they predict the market better. They win because they control themselves better. Most people approach investing emotionally. They chase trends when prices are rising. They panic when the market falls. They wait endlessly for the perfect time that never comes. Financially free people do the opposite. They invest consistently, month after month, year after year, through good markets and bad ones. They understand that investing isn't about timing the market, it's about time in the market. Instead of reacting to headlines, they follow a plan. Instead of guessing, they commit. This consistency does something powerful. It removes emotion from decision making. It turns investing into a habit, not a gamble. Because emotion is the enemy of long-term growth. Fear convinces people to sell too early. Greed convinces people to buy too late. And hesitation keeps people on the sidelines forever. Financially free people step out of that cycle. They let time do the heavy lifting. They understand that compound growth doesn't reward intensity. It rewards patience. You don't need to make brilliant moves. You don't need to chase the next big thing. You don't need to constantly adjust. You need to stay invested. Money grows fastest when it's left alone. When it's allowed to compound quietly in the background, when it's given time to recover, expand, and multiply. This is why consistency matters more than brilliance. A simple investment made regularly will outperform a complex strategy driven by emotion. Financially free people trust the process. They accept that markets rise and fall. They understand that volatility is normal. They don't confuse temporary drops with permanent failure. Instead of asking, "Is now a good time to invest?" they ask, "Am I committed to investing long term?" Because the real risk isn't market crashes. The real risk is never investing at all. Consistency builds confidence. Confidence builds discipline. Discipline builds freedom. Over time, investing becomes automatic. And when investing becomes automatic, wealth becomes inevitable. This habit doesn't make headlines. It doesn't feel exciting. But years later, it makes the difference between stress and security. Financial freedom isn't built in moments of excitement. It's built quietly, through calm decisions repeated consistently, while everyone else reacts emotionally. Invest consistently, stay patient, and let time work in your favor. Habit 5, they increase their value, not just their salary. The fifth habit that leads to financial freedom shifts everything. Income matters. Money matters. But value matters more than both. Financially free people don't spend their lives chasing bigger paychecks. They chase becoming more valuable. Most people ask the wrong question. They ask, "How can I make more money?" But financially free people ask something far more powerful. How can I become worth more? Because income is temporary. A job can disappear. A company can downsize. An industry can change overnight. But value travels with you. Skills can't be taken away. Experience compounds. Competence creates options. Financially free people invest in themselves long before the rewards show up. They learn skills that solve real problems. They build expertise that others rely on. They improve their ability to produce results. And over time, that value creates leverage. Leverage doesn't always mean working harder. It means making your effort count more. It means 1 hour of your time becoming worth 10. It means your knowledge producing income even when you're not present. It means opportunities coming to you instead of you chasing them. This is how money actually flows. Money doesn't flow to effort alone. It flows toward value. The more problems you can solve, the more people are willing to pay you. The more rare your skills become, the more control you gain over your income. Financially free people understand this early. They don't rely on a single source of income. They don't depend entirely on one employer. They don't tie their identity to a job title. Because a job is just one vehicle. You are the engine. Your greatest asset is not your resume. It's not your position. It's not your salary. Your greatest asset is you. This is why financially free people read when others scroll, practice when others relax, learn when others wait to be told. They understand that growth happens quietly, long before it shows up in income. Increasing your value doesn't always feel productive at first. There's no immediate reward, no instant paycheck, no applause. But over time, something changes. Doors open, options appear. Negotiating power increases. You stop asking for permission. You start setting terms. Because when you bring value to the table, you're no longer replaceable. Financial freedom isn't about earning more by chance. It's about becoming someone who can earn more on demand. And that comes from deliberate growth. Not once, not occasionally, but continuously. The market will always reward those who invest in their value. The question isn't whether opportunities exist. The question is whether you're prepared to attract them. Habit 6. They track their money without emotion. Financially free people do something most people avoid. They track their money without emotion. Because what you don't measure, you can't control. And money is no exception. Most people don't avoid tracking their finances because they're bad with money. They avoid it because money feels emotional. It carries stress, fear, pressure, and sometimes shame. But financially free people remove emotion from the equation. They treat money like data, not a moral scorecard. They know exactly where their money goes, not so they can judge themselves, not to replay past mistakes, not to feel guilty about what they spent last month. They track their money for one reason only: clarity. Clarity is power. When you don't track your money, it feels like it disappears. You earn it, you spend it, and suddenly it's gone. That uncertainty creates anxiety, confusion builds, chaos takes over. And the less clear things feel, the less control you have. Money leaks thrive in that chaos. Small expenses slip through unnoticed. Subscriptions renew quietly. Habits form without intention. These leaks stay invisible not because they're massive, but because they're unmeasured. And anything unmeasured remains unchecked. The moment you start tracking, something interesting happens. You don't need willpower. You don't need extreme budgeting. You don't need to cut everything you enjoy. Awareness alone often fixes the problem. Seeing the numbers changes behavior naturally. When you become aware of where your money is actually going, your decisions adjust automatically. You pause. You think. You choose more intentionally. Not because you're forcing discipline, but because clarity creates alignment. Financially free people understand this. They don't chase control through restriction. They achieve control through awareness. They replace emotional reactions with objective observation. This is where confusion disappears. Tracking your money turns uncertainty into information, and information removes fear. You stop guessing. You stop avoiding your bank app. You stop feeling out of control. Instead, you gain visibility, and visibility creates confidence. Clarity replaces confusion, Control replaces chaos. And control doesn't mean perfection. It means direction. It means your money starts flowing toward what matters instead of leaking into what doesn't. This habit, tracking money without emotion, isn't about spreadsheets or apps. It's about mindset. It's about choosing to see reality clearly instead of avoiding it. Because once you can see clearly, you can adjust calmly. Financial freedom doesn't start with earning more. It starts with awareness, with measurement, with the courage to look without judgment. Because when you remove emotion from money, you gain control. And when you gain control, financial freedom becomes possible. They think long-term in a short-term world. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification. Quick wins, fast money, viral moments. Everyone wants results today, even if it costs them everything tomorrow. But financially free people play a completely different game. This final habit ties everything together. They think long-term in a short-term world. While most people chase comfort, they chase sustainability. While others spend to feel good right now, they invest to feel free forever. They understand something most people never stop to consider. Short-term pleasure is expensive, but long-term thinking is priceless. Financially free people are willing to delay gratification. They say no to things they can afford today, so they can say yes to things others will never afford. They don't buy liabilities to impress people who don't care. They build assets that work quietly in the background. They don't chase status. They chase systems, and that's the real difference. Most people ask, what feels good today? Financially free people ask a better question. What will thank me 10 years from now? Because every decision is either building your future or borrowing from it. They know that convenience often comes with a hidden cost. The easy path feels good at first, but it usually leads to stress, debt, and dependency. So instead, they choose discipline over dopamine, consistency over chaos, strategy over impulse. They think in decades, not days. That's why they're patient when others panic. That's why they're calm when others rush. And that's why they're prepared when others are surprised. They understand that wealth isn't built in moments. It's built in habits, repeated quietly over time. Saving when it's boring. Investing when it's uncomfortable. Learning when others are scrolling. Building when no one is watching. And while the world celebrates overnight success, they're busy laying foundations no one sees. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Financial freedom isn't about how much you make. It's about how far into the future you think. If your decisions only solve today's problems, you'll keep recreating tomorrow's struggles. But when you start asking long-term questions, your behavior changes. Your priorities shift. Your life follows. Because when you trade temporary pleasure for permanent peace, you stop reacting to life and start designing it. And that mindset, that long-term vision, changes everything. Financial freedom isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with fireworks or viral moments. It's quiet. It's built on ordinary days, days that look boring from the outside. No big wins, no dramatic breakthroughs, just small decisions made consistently. Most people think freedom comes from one massive move. A lucky break, a sudden raise, a perfect opportunity. But real financial freedom is built differently. It's built when you choose discipline over impulse. When you spend with intention instead of emotion. When you save before you spend. When you invest even when it feels slow. It's built in the moments no one claps for, on random Tuesdays, on quiet mornings, on nights when you choose progress over comfort. Here's the truth. You don't need to master everything at once. You don't need all 7 habits. You don't need perfection. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You need one habit. Just one. Practiced well. One small step taken daily. One smart decision repeated consistently. One commitment you refuse to break. Because small steps compound, daily actions stack, and consistency does what motivation never can. What feels insignificant today becomes powerful over time. Skipping one unnecessary expense, automating one investment, learning one new skill, saying no to one impulse. That's how freedom is built. Not through drama, but through discipline. Not through speed, but through consistency. Not through noise, but through patience. And if you stay long enough, those ordinary days turn into extraordinary results. Because when small steps are taken daily, they don't just change your finances. They create freedom. If this video resonated with you, kindly like and subscribe for more insights. Also, drop a comment below. What habit are you willing to begin with? Because real wealth isn't built loudly, it's built consistently, one habit at a time.